Hello everybody, Sanjita here with another ranking video. With the Fury Class Interceptor unlocked just around the corner, a lot of people will get it on Monday. I realized I still haven't weighed in on ranking Conquest characters. I've ranked a lot of other stuff, but still haven't got to Conquest. Well, I'm not sure how this ship is going to weigh in. I do know have the previous 9 characters, and ships have performed. Since we only get Conquest units every 3 months, roughly, or every 3 sets in 28 weeks, so it's a little bit shorter than 3 months. We only have 10 so far, including this, so it's not too many. It's not conducive to a tier list because it would be kind of top heavy and stuff. But I'm going to be trying to go through them in terms of value and just overall quality. So let's get into it. So far, in my opinion, the least valuable Conquest unit is Trench, and there's a few main reasons for that. One, you need Wat Tambor to make it work. It's primarily a territory war team, and you can do some good stuff with that. You can beat Ray, I believe, but you need a few Omicrons on the team, so it's a really high investment to get that return. It's not a sure thing. And right now he has a Datacron propping him up. After that, he's really going to fall off in viability. But his whole kit is built around like Wat Tambor being in there. You need tech, and you also need new gun ray, but then you also want Dooku and Django in there to make the team run. So in 3v3 for GAC, the viability falls completely off. Most of the time Wampa can solo this team. It just doesn't feel up to par with the rest of the Conquest characters and their value. And I don't fully understand the squad too much. I put it on defense most of the time, and I do have a good Datacron for it, but that's not going to last. So to me, he's just less valuable. I mean, he is not worth taking Wat away from other counters. Wat is a great associate to a Galactic Legend and a counter to another Galactic Legend. Was it the Eternal Emperor or Supreme Leader Kylo or something like that? So you really can't spare him with Trench. Just really disappointing so far. Ranking at number 8 most valuable, or second least valuable, is Boba Fett Sign of Django, and he used to take the cake for the worst Conquest character. I took him to R5. I kind of regret doing that. I've used him a couple times on a random bounty hunter squad because he does extra hits with his basic, and under boss lead you can get to contract more. But the reason he beats out Boba Fett Sign of Django is because he can handle Galactic Legends. I know specifically Lord Vader and some others, I'm not sure. But he is much better in Territory War than Grand Arena. Grand Arena, he's mostly useless. So Trench has him beat in Grand Arena probably. But what's better about Boba Fett Sign of Django is you don't need Wat. You don't need to take away a super important piece from another team. Or, I mean, Wat's an important piece to just anything. But you just need a bounty hunter team, and bounty hunters are a little bit worse to start in Territory War because you don't have that Zam Omicron, and just Boba Fett Sign of Django fills the gap really well. Bounty hunters have kind of decreased in viability. They're more of a niche team at this point, but Boba Fett Sign of Django does lift the team to a valuable point, and that's why he beats Trench at this point. Coming in at number 7, we got TIE Interceptor, and I know I'm going to get a lot of disagreement on this because this is an awesome ship, but just so you know, I think the top 7 characters and ships in Conquest are amazing, and I'll fully discuss my reasoning later. But the ship is awesome, and probably the best thing about it isn't even within its kit. And for some time, I got confused because I was like, where does it say you get your reinforcement cooldown refreshed? That's actually in the Darth Vader kit, but it's a specific call out to the TIE Interceptor. You need TIE Interceptor reinforcements, you need Darth Vader in starting lineup, and you need all either Empire, Sith, or Inquisitorious allies. You refresh all the cooldowns on the capital ship by 1, not just reinforcement. So that is the most valuable thing about it. It also gets Foresight a lot, which is very nice. It's inflicting buff immunity, or it's dispelling all buffs on enemies, cleansing on your reinforcement. It's an amazing reinforcement ship, and buff like target lock and buff immunity for 2 turns. It's such a good reinforcement ship. It's incredible. Unless you have Foresight, it is a little bit flimsy. No protection. So when I bring it in, it's like if I'm not like in a great position already at that point, I'm kind of falling behind. But it can force its own taunt kind of on a character for itself. I like the basic. It does better damage than the special. First special, I think. And it allows you to punch up. It allows you to use Chimera against Executor beat that, Negotiator easy, and then a lot of other fleets, probably not Profundity, which is why I rank it a little bit lower than many others would, because there's way more counters to Executor than there is Profundity. But I still think this is an amazing ship. Don't hold it against me for putting it at number 7. Number 6 most valuable Conquest character is Ben Solo, in my opinion. And he's listed as an attacker, and he does some good damage, but to me his main value is as a support character to Rey, especially on offense. On defense, it's kind of easier to get around him, but on offense, it's such a great cheese. It allows Rey to beat Jedi Master Kenobi, which that team could not before. But they just zone in on Ben, they don't realize he can't die. And then you can just pick apart the team from there. And I actually love all his Omicrons. I applied all of them. I even love Redeemed to ignore protection. That also really helps against JMK. And to me, even though that's just a singular counter in mind, that's way worth it. I've killed characters that had tons of bonus protection. It really helps out. It also helps out against Rey. You can get to, in a mirror match, you can get to damage immunity faster on enemies and speed up the process. Healing immunity on his this special for 4 turns is crazy. Can't be resisted. That's just amazing. And of course, that's in Grand Arena, but I think Grand Arena is way more important than Territory War. It happens more often. You get better rewards, and it's all up to you. So I've talked about that at length before. Grand Arena is the way to go. But yeah, it's all about Force Dyad. I mean, this is just basically designed for Jedi Master Kenobi, at least with the instant defeat immunity. But I don't think Capital Games cares too much that Rey is able to beat Jedi Master Kenobi. I don't think they thought about it too much because they didn't update the targeting priority to avoid Ben Solo unless Rey's under half health. So as long as that keeps up, I love Ben Solo, and even though he's R5, he's just more of a support character to me, so I don't care about having him R7. And here's where I know I'm going to get a lot of disagreement again. I think Scythe is number 5 in the list of most valuable Conquest units, and there's a narrative out there that Scythe is underwhelming or it's not useful, and it's kind of like the thing where people don't think Lord Vader's good when he really is. This makes such a difference in fleets. It really just transformed my approach to fleets in both Grand Arena and Territory War, but mostly Grand Arena. It allows an Executrix fleet with just ragtag ships that you didn't really use as much, except the bomber. You did use the bomber. It allows that to be Profundity, which is currently the best ship in the game until Leviathan comes out, but we'll see even then. And there aren't many other meta counters, reliable counters to Profundity. I know you can beat Executrix without Scythe, but Scythe, contrary to popular belief, I think it makes it much more certain. I think when you have Scythe and you know what you're doing, it is a much more surefire thing. And it's not only that counter, it also allows you to beat Negotiator with Executrix in pretty much the same lineup. I've done it plenty of times in Territory War, which is amazing. And just spotting 2 extra ships is very useful. With the TIE fighters basically taunting when they have foresight, that's awesome. That can waste so many attacks once you get it out. And you just have the expendable side ships. Like, that is very valuable, that start out at the beginning. 5-on-3 from the start is awesome, no matter how weak the ships are. And I love the formation mechanic. When you take all the buffs off, I've got like 26 stacks of formation against a Holdo's ship, which I know isn't the best fleet, but it is an annoying banner-stealing fleet, and that turns your whole fleet into a just wrecking ball. Even the ships you don't think of as damage dealers, it's amazing. It can cause fear on enemies. I just think it's very valuable. And if you stick it on defense, it can be a great banner-stealing team as well. So I think this is well worth it, and it's ranked at number 5 for me. Coming in at 4th most valuable, we have our last Conquest ship, and it's the Razor Crest. So on LT101 do a review of Conquest units several months ago, and he said this is the most valuable, and I can see the arguments, but I just kind of disagree there. But it is super valuable. Yes, it goes on the Executor fleet, but without this ship, the Executor fleet cannot do as much as it normally does. This ship is always in the starting lineup. It's the only one that doesn't get subbed out. Even Houndstooth gets subbed out for the triple attacker lineup, and sometimes people don't use Cad Bane in the starting lineup, which is kind of weird. They use IG, but I don't know exactly why that happens, but Razor Crest makes that ship what it is. It's the Giant Knight Revenant of ships. It can mark an enemy, it can ignore taunts, and then help everyone attack that one enemy. And it's got its payout ability, which is somewhere. Yeah, its payout is right here, which is, it starts with itself 50% critical damage. And all active bounty hunter allies gain 25% offense and 25 speed for the rest of the battle. Not too shabby. And if a marked enemy is defeated, reduce the cooldowns of the active allied bounty hunter ships by 1. That is something people overlook, and I probably need to put that in a Mechanics You Forgot video, because I forgot about that till just now. It's just super valuable, but even just alone for the avoiding taunts is really nice. The contract is just icing on the cake. And also, it's super survivable with this reinforced hull. 250% defense per stack is ludicrous, even if you get down to just 1 stack. It's still such a mitigation of damage. And this is why the Razor Crest is usually the only ship to stay alive when I try to counter Executor with Finalizer, because TIE Silencer can't really do anything. He has big single hits, and there's not a ton of little hits. So usually this is the last ship to go down when I'm doing that counter, even after Houndstooth, because I can one-shot Houndstooth eventually. But Razor Crest, just awesome. You're never really using it as a reinforcement. It's not great reinforcement ability, but super valuable ship. Number 4, fourth most valuable Conquest unit. And now we come to the top 3, the cream of the crop, the big 3, the trio. We got Commander Ahsoka Tano, Maul, and Malgus. These are listed in the order they came out, not the order they're ranked, so I'm going to talk about that in a second. But no matter what my ranking is, these characters are all super valuable, and that's clear to everybody that plays this game. Just crazy value. These two are one of the first characters to come out, so they don't make them like they used to anymore. But Malgus was also an amazing addition, so let's jump into the top 3. This might be a surprise to a lot of people, but I'm putting Commander Ahsoka Tano at number 3, and this kind of contradicts a few things. In previous rankings, in my top characters ranking, I ranked her above Maul and Malgus in my every 3 months rating. And maybe I'll change that, but I still think she is an amazing character. But the reason she is a little bit less valuable than the other two is because of what she has to rely on. She has to rely on Jedi Master Kenobi or another galactic legend, sometimes Rey, but we don't really see that anymore, for her to unlock her full potential. And before that point, it's already a galactic legend. Jedi Master Kenobi becomes the best team in the game once you add Commander Ahsoka Tano, but before her, it's still an amazing team. He's still a galactic legend, and you can do a lot of stuff with him. She really does just lift the team so much. And just any team, I mean, she is still incredibly valuable. 50% offense and crit damage. As long as there's another one of the light side on the line Force user, Galactic Republic, or Scoundrel, that covers an enormous swath of characters. She gives 50% health and defense, and that offense and crit damage buff to all her light side allies, which is insane. It's a short ability relative to a lot of others, and just kind of a relatively short kit, but it's incredible how potent she is. Of course, Force Sleep is her bread and butter, and insta-kill. Jedi Master Kenobi unlocks the full potential if you're using her with Padme, which is still a good use. It takes a while to get there. You're reducing the cooldowns with Xian. The basic, kind of lackluster. It's not doing too much. When I get around to her turn, I can't do a special. It's kind of disappointing. But don't take it away from her that she's number 3 most valuable in Grand Arena, in Conquest, somewhat, in Territory War. I mean, she's just an amazing character. But I still put her at number 3 because she does rely on the Galactic Legends to lift her, and she can't really run a team on her own. And therefore, it's mainly just strengthening an already amazing team. And that's why she's number 3 for me. Number 2, we got Darth Malgus, and maybe this is a surprise that he is above Commander Ahsoka Tano, but he's an amazing character, mostly in Grand Arena, but also Territory War. He doesn't absolutely need his Omicrons to be amazing. I mean, you can beat him with General Skywalker in Territory War, but he's still a tough team to take down. You can counter Reva with him, which is a reason his value is up. But he just have so many great stats. He is unkillable if you don't have the right stuff. Even if you have a Galactic Legend, you can't take him down. The reason he's number 2 is he's basically a Galactic Legend on his own. He doesn't require another Galactic Legend to draw a Galactic Legend to take him down. A lot of people said Darth Revan and Bastila with him in 3v3, but I mean, you could still solo with a Galactic Legend. But without a Galactic Legend, what are you going to do against that? I mean, General Skywalker is so iffy. He's just, in my mind, he's the quintessential pseudo-Galactic Legend. I have all the Omicrons on him. A lot of these aren't advised by a lot of people, and they're not like the best, but they're getting used every Grand Arena. So I still think they're worth it for me, at least. It's not a character that sits on the bench sometimes like Iden. Just crazy powerful. With the current set of Datacrons, the super survivability, he's just completely insane. He also does a ton of damage with this ability. Well, other than this, he has crap damage, but he can get up to like 200,000 damage if you play your cards right, and he is increasing his max health with the basic, so just a lot of stuff going for Malgus. But the reason he's number 2, in my mind primarily, is because he is a pseudo-Galactic Legend all on his own. So, of course, a minute and a half ago, you were able to deduce that Maul is the number 1 most valuable Conquest character. Why is that? I don't rank him as a better character than Commander Ahsoka or Malgus, and in head-to-head matches, I would take either of those other 2 over Maul any day. He does require Galactic Legend to be amazing in terms of like his best potential with Lord Vader. He was built for Lord Vader, but his leadership is amazing. I mean, it's a mass swarm. It turns Mandalorians into like Geonosians, and they're way stronger. This ability does so much damage when you get it up to 5 stacks, and you can reset it right to 5 stacks if you play your cards right. Increasing cooldowns by 2 is incredibly valuable, and that's meant to take out Cat, so he has specific anti-Cat mechanics built in. But the reason he is the most valuable is because of the raid. The Crate Raid came into our lives a month or 2 ago and rewrote the entire book on PvE. Now there's just one raid to rule them all, and there's only 5 factions you can use, and one of them is Mandalorian. And this team, for me, is probably the easiest to use other than Jabba the Hutt, which obviously Jabba the Hutt is the king. But Maul is amazing. I still can only run the tier 4 because I don't have everyone at R7. At R7, it becomes much easier. But even at R5, without remodding, I know I made the video on how to do it properly, but I get lazy and don't remod. And I can still get over 1 million, sometimes close to 1.2 million, even with terrible mods on the other characters, just because it's so consistent. So in terms of value, Maul does take the cake. And I mean, with Lord Vader, he's as good as any out there on his own Mandalorian team. In PvP, he can take out plenty of stuff. I love how he can take out Reva. That is just amazing. I mean, it is spotty. I'm pretty much the only one that talks about it. I don't see many other people trying it, but you have to do it right. And sometimes you just only kill Reva in Grand Arena. In Territory War, I think it's much more reliable if you mod right. But since Reva is essentially a Galactic Legend on her own, that's amazing. And I think he might be able to take out Sith Eternal Emperor, and I think there's some other Galactic Legends he can manage. So he is super valuable, and I think it's awesome that Maul gets the spotlight he deserves, since Darth Maul as a character is pretty lackluster. So there you have it. That is the number 1 most valuable Conquest unit. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to leave your thoughts, your agreements and disagreements. I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to give a like if you did enjoy, and sub if you haven't already. Thanks so much for coming out, and I'll see you later.